Gi-Hun has a crazy life. From seeing your friends die at work to being threatened by loan sharks, all the way till being in not one but 2 Squid Games. And his life is far from over. It made me wonder, what will the end of his story really be? Will these twisted games give him negative aura and turn him into a certified demon like Sang-woo and Front Daddy? Or will he have a happily ever after like Shrek and go and hang out in his swamp? I went through the entire show for the 5th time and have read over 1,000 books worth of theories to gather the best of the best. One of these is definitely how his story ends, and I even got some secret info from the cast. And in this video, I'm gonna take you through it all. Theory numero uno. Gi-Hun goes global. Some fans are thinking that the Big Daddy frontman might actually want Gi-Hun to live through the new set of games, so that he can force him to go to America. Why would he want this? Well, there's 2 ways that this theory goes. One is pretty basic. He just wants Gi-Hun to go away and chill with his daughter, since that's a life that In-ho never got to live for himself. However, the second version is way more interesting. Even though the frontman appears evil, he does try to keep the games fair and steps in to correct obvious violations of the game's rules. So what if he's actually doing this job because it's in the best interest of the contestants? It definitely takes a twisted mind to run these games, so you can bet that the previous frontman wasn't anywhere near as fair or give as many second chances. So what if, after seeing how cruel the previous organizers were, In-ho made the decision to dedicate himself to making the games as fair and balanced as possible to help the contestants survive? Maybe he'll give Gi-Hun the opportunity to win, so that his good heart, although tainted with darkness from what the Squid Games has done to him, can be fuel for him to find the American games and make them as fair as possible, whether it's as part of the mysterious organization, pretending to be a VIP, or even going as player 001. We know that an American spin-off is happening, directed by the guy who made Fight Club, so it needs to have a pretty explosive start if it wants to make the same impact that Squid Game had internationally. What if they do this by introducing Gi-Hun as a supporting character who helps from the shadows, or even serves as a spy to help somebody try to stop the Squid Games? There's a lot of potential here, but it's not quite as likely as our next tragic theory. Theory 2. Gi-Hun will die. We saw how ready Gi-Hun was to die in Season 2, willing to put his life on the line in order to perform his armed assault to try and stop the games. Even when he had nowhere to run and the frontman aimed his gun at him point blank, G-Man just looked at him hatefully without showing any regret or fear.
456번. 잘 봐. 네 영웅놀이의 결과가.
He was completely ready to die for the cause, but of course, In-ho knew what would truly break him and killed his friend instead.
Gi-Hun.
390번.
Now that he's more full of anger than ever before, Gi-Hun won't hesitate to die in order to help others escape these sickening games. But the main question is not whether this will happen, but actually who he will die for. The most obvious choice, now that his childhood friend was killed, is player 222. Since she's pregnant, she has the biggest disadvantage in the games, and is the easiest target for people to mess with or try to get her eliminated. Maybe thanks to Gi-Hun and MG Coin, she'll make it to the final stages of the Squid Games, but has her life put on the line, and requires Gi-Hun to sacrifice himself for her. The symbolism here would be pretty crazy. I mean, imagine G-Bro permanently abandoning his daughter, who he never treated well, in order to save the life of a young woman so that she can be a great parent to her own child. That's pretty deep, but it isn't the only possibility. Some other players like Yongsik and his mother, or even Daeho, are also contenders, since each of them have gotten to know each other a lot better than the average players have. Something we can be sure of is that the director will make this an incredibly sad scene if it does happen, since he loves pulling on our heartstrings for even the most minor characters. Gi-Hun's loss would need to be a major and emotional moment, which needs a lot of justification for fans to stay sane and not hate the ending. But whatever happens, you can be sure it'll be a crazy roller coaster. Even if it does though, there's another theory so crazy that some fans might rage quit the whole franchise forever. Theory 3. Gi-Hun betrays the players. In an interview, the actor who plays Gi-Hun's best friend Jung-bae gave his own theory on what will happen to Gi-Hun, but it's shocking. He thinks that G-Man will become more hateful just like the frontman intended, but that instead of trying to take revenge on the organization, he now knows this is impossible and takes it out on the players instead. Maybe even going to the extreme of killing some of the ones who voted to keep the games running. The actor also said that he thinks it would be most heartbreaking for his character to have Gi-Hun go all vengeful and spiteful towards the players because he knows that the front daddy is untouchable, which would be a total 180 turn for his character's morals and philosophy. But after everything he's been through, it's actually scarily believable for this to become true. I mean, think about it. If In-ho really wants to break Gi-Hun, maybe the best kind of result isn't him becoming the frontman, but instead turning him into a murderer. He was very happy when G-Money said he'd let some innocent people die in order for the revolt to have a high chance of success.
싸움이 끝날 때까지 참고 기다려야 합니다. 지금 이 인원보다 적은 숫자로는 그놈들을 이길 수가 없어요.
작은 희생은 감수하자는 건가요?
He even gave a creepy smile when he heard this. So think about how much happier that weirdo would be if Gi-Hun went on some kind of killing spree. There's still an old woman and a pregnant young girl in the games, both of which need protection if they want to succeed, especially since the violence-loving O's are now the majority of remaining players and have proven they can go on a crazy killing streak. Maybe in a twisted attempt to protect these weak and innocent players, Gi-Hun will lose his humanity by killing anyone who tries to get them eliminated from the games. This could be a stepping stone to a much darker side of him, who realizes that he enjoys the violence and starts targeting other players, ones who aren't hurting anybody and just want to stay safe. I know this might seem far-fetched, but the similarities between In-ho and Gi-Hun would also lend credit to this. I mean, think about it. In-ho entered the games as a loving family man who wanted to save his wife and unborn daughter.
저 와이프가 많이 아픕니다. 급성 간경화 때문에 간이식을 해야 되는. 근데 병원에서 검사를 받다가 뱃속에 애가 있는 걸 알게 됐어요. 병원에서 낙태를 하라고 와이프가 말을 한다. 죽더라도 애기를 낳겠다. 제 와이프가 고집이 세거든요. 제가 제 와이프 고집을 이겨본 적이 없어요. 이식할 칸은 안 구해지. 와이프 상태는 나빠지고 돈은 빌릴 수 있는 데까지 다 빌렸는데도.
Then he became the cruel frontman who can kill people without caring or hesitating, and even shot his own brother. This would be a super crazy twist, but nowhere near as shocking as our final theory. Theory 4. G-Money becomes the frontman. One of the most popular and fascinating theories is that none other than G-Money himself will turn evil and become the next front daddy. On paper, this seems crazy, right? He went back into the games to save people and bring the sickening event to an end. Why would he ever help to keep them running? Well, there's actually a lot more evidence to support this theory than you'd think. The first and most obvious hint to this storyline is the similarities between Gi-Hun and In-ho. Before he was the frontman, In-ho took part in the Squid Games in order to get enough money to fund his pregnant wife's life-saving operation. But after winning the games and seeing hundreds of people die around him, he left with the money, only to hear that his wife and unborn child had passed away tragically. This sent him off the deep end, making him completely lose hope in humanity, which led to him becoming the frontman. Gi-Hun also entered the games in order to support his family, which he was unable to do because of the debt he got from gambling. The problem is, G-Money has never exactly been a great father. He always put himself and his pleasures ahead of his daughter, and this even extends to his decision to return to the Squid Games, pretty much abandoning her in another country. His entire purpose in doing this was to save people in the games by using his knowledge to their advantage.
지금부터 제가 하는 말 잘 들으세요. 이거 그냥 게임이 아닙니다. 게임을 하다 걸리면 죽습니다.
But that plan was completely ruined after the first game, since he'd never played any of the others. It's here that we see him slowly morph into a new character. He went from trying to save every life in the first episode to willingly letting people die in the finale. It's true he saw it as serving the greater good, so that most players could survive, but originally, he never intended to waste a single life. The Big Daddy frontman had been toying with him throughout the second season, trying to lead him down a darker path and influence his ideologies. After his experiences with the VIPs and watching the players in previous Squid Games, In-ho believes that humans are inherently greedy and are not worth saving, which is a complete mirror to Gi-Hun's original philosophy. The writer and director of the show confirmed that they represent two different sides of the same coin, but that doesn't mean that they always will. Some of the marketing for Season 3 has Gi-Hun wearing a black suit, while In-ho wears a white one. This leads fans to speculate that Gi-Hun will embrace evil, while In-ho might actually end up regaining some faith in humanity, especially with his brother searching for him. Gi-Hun trusted player 001, even giving him what little ammunition he had left for the firearms they stole in the revolt.
바로 위에 있는 것 같은데 여기로는 못 올라가요. 여러분이 다른 루트를 찾아봐 주세요.
올라오면서 여기 구조를 훑어봤는데 겁니다. 여기서 두 분이 저놈들 시선을 꽉 좀 붙잡아 주세요.
잠깐만요. 자, 이거 가져가세요. 필요할 겁니다.
진짜 괜찮겠어요?
내가 단장 가져올 겁니다.
So the moment where he reveals himself to be the front daddy will definitely shock the G-Man and send him into a huge rage, probably unable to ever trust somebody again. Since In-ho executed Gi-Hun's closest friend in front of him, it's very possible that this will make Goku lose his sanity and see the world as evil. Another factor is the incredible reach of the organization. They seem to be able to do anything at any time without consequence, since In-ho very easily paid off the sea captain to ruin his brother's plot to find the Squid Game Island. Some theorize that it could be possible that the organizers of the Squid Games will kidnap or threaten Gi-Hun's daughter and use her life as a bargaining chip to make him run the Squid Games. This is especially possible if it turns out that the frontman's brother somehow finds him and turns him back to the light, or if In-ho somehow dies and a new front daddy needs to be crowned. This might be a crazy theory, but many fans out there believe it's certain to come in Season 3, all the way from becoming the frontman to a tragic and heartbreaking death. These have been all Gi-Hun theories. If you want to see more theories, click the video on screen now.